Omega Construction Site Safety Orientation. Omega strives to ensure that our safety culture includes individual commitment to eliminating injuries, incidents, environmental impacts, and errors and omissions. This commitment involves every employee taking responsibility for their own behavior and for every employee around them. Omega Construction has a zero-tolerance policy in regard to safety. Please use any and every means possible to keep yourself and your fellow workers safe. Safe working conditions and safe practices are the first priority for this project. Our goal is to prevent accidents on this site. We expect all subcontractors to pay proper attention to safe work practices to help achieve and maintain this goal. All work must be done in a manner that complies with OSHA regulations and requirements as a minimum guide. The Omega Superintendent will implement more stringent requirements if he deems it necessary. All accidents and injuries, no matter how minor, must be reported to your supervisor immediately. They will assist you and provide first aid and/or refer you to proper care. Incidental first aid supplies such as band-aids, ointments, etc. are the responsibility of each subcontractor. A report is to be given to Omega each week as a matter of record, even if there are no cases. If emergency medical care is needed, dial 911. Give the location of the incident. Be prepared to report the type of suspected injury and the number of people involved. Stay on the line until instructed to hang up by the 911 operator. A supervisor's report of accident has to be completed by the subcontractor and sent to Omega's job site trailer within 24 hours of the time of the accident. Each subcontractor will designate a competent person as a safety representative. That person will represent his company as a member of the Omega On-Site Safety Committee. On a designated day and time each week, each subcontractor is to have a person walk the job site with the Omega On-Site Safety Committee. The purpose of this walkthrough is to identify any possible safety problems. The competent person on each crew will be expected to attend our weekly safety walkthrough if on site. Each subcontractor will be expected to hold a weekly safety meeting and give a copy of the meeting notes and attendees to the Omega Superintendent. The work area of each employee must be a safe work area. All areas of work must be kept clean with daily trash removal. Barricades are required around floor openings, excavations, roof areas, certain types of equipment, and certain types of overhead work. Warning signs, such as men working above, slippery when wet, etc., must be used effectively to warn personnel in the area. Shirts with a minimum 4-inch sleeve must be worn at all times. Trousers or pants must be ankle length. ANSI-approved hard hats are required during all construction. ANSI-approved steel-toed safety shoes are required for anyone who is handling material or operates hand compactors, jackhammers, etc. Omega would recommend that all employees wear steel-toed shoes for their own safety. ANSI-approved safety glasses with side shields must be worn at all times and during all phases of the project. Face shields must be worn while grinding or cutting with abrasive blades. Highly visible clothing, such as vests, shirts, or jackets, will be worn at all times. The accepted colors will be safety yellow or safety orange. Additional personal protective equipment may be required depending on the work. Any individual performing work at a height of 6 feet or more above the ground must be properly tied off with a safety harness and lanyard. 100% tie-off is required on knuckle boom lifts, scissor lifts, and all aerial work platforms. 100% tie-off may require 2 lanyards, so one of them can be hooked at all times when moving. Ladders must be secured at the top and bottom and extend 3 feet above landing height. All scaffolding is to be erected by a competent person in a manner consistent with OSHA regulations. Before any work begins, the scaffolding must be properly tagged and the competent person must fill out a subcontractor daily scaffold checklist. That checklist must be turned in to the Omega Superintendent. For more information about tagging scaffolding, see the Scaffolding Tagging Program PowerPoint. This diagram shows the proper setup of a scaffold. All scaffolds should have an access ladder and gate and should be fully planked. There should be mud sills and base plates at the bottom of the scaffold and cross braces for support. The buck should be plumb and vertical. To prevent falls, the scaffolding should have toe boards of 4 inches, a 150-pound load-bearing mid-rail, and a top rail that is at least 36 to 48 inches and can support 200 pounds. All mobile equipment must have a backup alarm, fire extinguisher, horn, mirrors, seatbelt, and if applicable, glass that is free of cracks or breaks, lights, and wipers. All workers must be trained on the safe operation of the equipment they are going to be operating. All forklift and crane operators must have recent operator certification. Seatbelts must be worn when operating the equipment. No riding on the equipment by anyone other than the operator will be permitted. Cranes must have yearly, monthly, and daily inspections. All workers using aerial lift platforms, such as scissor lifts and knuckle boom lifts, are required to have training in the usage and hazards associated with lift platforms. The Omega Superintendent can provide you with information to train your workers. Silica is a common mineral present in most construction materials, such as concrete, brick, concrete block, drywall, and many others. Silica is all around us and is a major component in soils in the Earth's crust. It is normally not dangerous unless fine silica particles are inhaled into the lungs. These fine silica particles can be released into the air through the cutting or drilling of silica-containing materials. Silica dust exposure can be harmful over time, as it has been linked to diseases of the lungs such as silicosis, COPD, and others. OSHA implemented silica exposure standards in 2017 to protect workers from silica exposure. Tasks involving cutting, drilling, grinding, or other methods that generate silica dust must be performed with equipment having dust collection or suppression features. These features can include vacuum attachments, special filters, or water sprays to reduce the amount of silica dust release. These features must be designed as a permanent part of the equipment, not temporary modifications made at the job site. Workers performing these tasks must wear protective equipment as required by the OSHA standards. The dust control measures required depend on the type of task performed, how long the task will take, and whether it is indoors or outdoors. Different levels of respiratory protection are also required depending on the task. Ask your supervisor to make sure you have the appropriate protective equipment for the task you will be performing. OSHA Standard 1926.1153 Table 1 lists compliance methods for many common tasks. Talk to your supervisor beforehand about dust-generating tasks you must do to make sure your procedures are in compliance. Some advanced planning will help make sure you have the right equipment and respiratory protection available to accomplish your job safely. All electrical equipment and power tools must be protected from shock hazard by use of a GFCI plug or pigtail. All electrical power cords must be free of nicks, cuts, frays, and broken strain relief. Ground tools and cords must have grounding lugs and wires intact. Cords found to be defective must be repaired immediately or be removed from service by cutting the cord at the male plug end. Each subcontractor is responsible to provide hazardous communication training to their employees. Each subcontractor is to notify the job superintendent of all chemicals they bring on site and provide copies of safety data sheets to Omega Construction for the record. All spills of fuels, chemicals, or paints must be reported to the Omega Superintendent immediately. Every Omega Superintendent has a spill kit in their work truck. Radios, Walkman, iPods, etc. of any kind are not permitted in any work areas. Weapons of any kind are prohibited. You cannot carry a weapon in your car or on your person while on this job site. No exceptions are allowed. Employees who are found to have any kind of weapon in their possession will be disciplined up to and including removal from the project. Smoking on Omega job sites is permitted only in designated areas. Some contracts with various clients prevent smoking anywhere on the site. please check with your superintendent to establish if the current worksite allows smoking on the premises. Omega Construction has a zero-tolerance policy in regards to safety. Please use any and every means possible to keep yourself and your fellow workers safe. Any worker found violating a safety standard will be asked to stop work and abate the hazard immediately. At this point, the worker will be issued a written warning by Omega's superintendent. Should the same worker be found violating the same or another safety standard, the worker will be asked to leave the job site for 3 days. Should representatives of Omega still feel that continued individual or crew safety performance is not improving, the subcontractor will be asked to replace the supervision on site. The Omega project superintendent will now cover safety issues specific to this project. A hot work permit will be required for all welding and burning. This will be issued weekly or daily by the Omega project manager or superintendent as required for work. An excavation permit will be required for any excavation over 4 feet. This permit is to be issued daily by the Omega project manager or superintendent as required for work. These permits will in no way relieve the holder of his or her responsibilities and liability. We recognize the dignity of the individual. Our policy is to be fair and impartial in dealing with all employees. The project policy is to ensure equal opportunities to all employees based on individual qualifications without regard to race, color, religion, age, sex, national origin, disability, or veteran status. Because of this, discrimination, misconduct, intimidation, or harassment is expressly prohibited and will not be tolerated. Sexual harassment is a form of harassment and is described as unwelcome and unsolicited sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal, visual, or physical conduct of a sexual nature when the conduct has the purpose or effect of interfering with an employee's performance or creating an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Employees who believe that they are victims of discrimination or sexual harassment are encouraged to immediately and clearly communicate that such conduct is unwelcome. You are also encouraged to immediately report such incidents to your supervisor or EEO representative for your employer's firm. Employees who remove or attempt to remove company property without authorization will be disciplined up to and including removal from the project. Each employer is responsible for the security of his or her property. We maintain a commitment to all employees to promote a high standard of safety on this project. Substance abuse exposes everyone to the risk of accidents or injuries and can lead to the damage of property and equipment. The presence, distribution, or use of intoxicants, which include alcohol, alcoholic energy drinks, and unlawful drugs, or the willful abuse of non-prescription or prescription drugs cannot be tolerated. Instances of willful substance abuse at work are strictly prohibited and will be considered cause for immediate termination of employment on this job site. Each employee on this job site will be given a safety orientation sticker to place on your hard hat for ID. The purpose of this is to show that each employee on site has gone through the orientation. You must have and wear your hard hat at all times on this job site. Only company-owned vehicles will be allowed to park inside of the work area. A separate area will be designated for employee parking. Caution and good judgment should be exercised in the event of adverse weather. Employees are expected to get to work if at all possible, but are not expected to take unnecessary risks. All press releases are to be cleared by Omega Construction Incorporated. No Omega employee or subcontractor employee may take or publish still camera or video images on Omega Construction job sites without the written permission of Omega's Division Executive Vice President, Company President, or Marketing Department. Many contracts with owners require their consent before pictures or video are taken and released. All images will be submitted to the Safety Director for review for safety violations prior to publicly publishing any still pictures or videos. Omega superintendents and project managers are exempt only for required job site progress pictures. In the event of an emergency, you will be warned by 3 short, 3 long, and 3 short horn blasts. You will be expected to stop work and report to your supervisor in the designated safety zone. The designated safety zone is marked and highlighted on the site plan, which is posted in the job site trailer. You must familiarize yourself with the location of this safety zone. This zone will be the meeting point for all emergencies, such as EMS, rescue, and fire departments. As a supervisor, it is very important that you account for your workers and report their whereabouts to the Omega superintendent immediately. As this job progresses, the safety zone could change. You will be made aware of any changes in your weekly safety training meeting. Please take note of the job site address, which is also posted on the site plan, to inform any emergency agency as to the location of the job site. Courteous and businesslike conduct is expected of all employees on this job site. Your actions not only make a statement about yourself, but also about the project and the company you represent. We expect you to conduct yourself as competent construction professionals at all times to safeguard the reputation of your employer, the client you are working for, and your fellow employees. Specific conduct rules will be provided by your employer. However, you need to be aware of the requirements for this job site and the policies covered in this orientation. These rules of conduct are expected to be followed on and off the job. Our goal for this project is to finish it with 0 accidents and 0 lost days due to injuries or accidents. We want to provide the safest work environment possible and require your cooperation to meet our goal. Omega Construction has a zero tolerance policy in regards to safety. Please use any and every means possible to keep yourself and your fellow workers safe. Thank you and good luck on the job.